Grand Rising. This is Toya. I am Toya with the Blue Lighthouse Mantle. I came across someone on YouTube that I've never seen before, never heard before, and she spoke about someone in a person's life who was making things very difficult for them at work, who talked nasty about them, who did horrible things. They would just spit venom, and it would spread around, and it would get to the higher ups or what have you, and that a person was up for a promotion, and that person went behind or went to the higher ups and said some very nasty things to keep that person from being promoted. And usually, if it's somebody that I've never heard before or whatever, I would just go past it. But something had me to stop and listen, and it really resonated with me. It reminded me of my last job. And I was thinking back because she came up with different scenarios. She said, one, the person did that because you reminded them of someone who bullied them, or you had characteristics of someone who bullied them when they were young, very young. And because they never healed, it came up when they first saw you. The other scenario was the person that was doing bad stuff asked the quote unquote victim of the situation out, or wanted to get to know that person, and they declined. And they declined because of a couple of reasons: that they didn't want to work with anybody, deal with anyone at work, or because they were with someone already. So they didn't want to do that to their partner or what have you. And the other scenario was that you came into a job and you just flourished. You did everything you're supposed to do. You was getting all kind of accolades. You were getting promotions. You were doing this. You were doing that. And that person that was hating on you had been there for a very long time and didn't really do much of anything. And the latter is the one that really resonated with me. My last job, there was someone who, day one, was telling the supervisor that I was not doing my job properly. If I would ask that person a question about the job, that person will say, well, go ask the supervisor. And if I go ask the supervisor will say, well, go ask that person. So I completely stopped asking either one of them and just got information from whoever else I can get the information from, or I figured it out on my own. I used to cry a lot, but crying helps me to figure things out. But that really, and apparently that person stopped or had a hand in the unfortunate person not getting a promotion, either because they don't want them to make more money than them, or they didn't want them to be over them. She also mentioned that it could have been someone that was already over me, and that person did not want me to be in a position where they couldn't control me. And actually, both of those, yeah, I can think of two people. One that was over me, and one that was a peer of mine. So, and now that I think about that, one of the last days, because I quit my job, even though they put down that I was fired because it was a no call, no show. Anyway, one of the last days that I was at the job, I saw both of those people. Now, we were in a meeting, and this was a meeting about people who were in a position to be over others or would run certain clinics. And after the meeting, everyone else left except for these two people. And usually we would all walk together and go back to our positions. But these two stayed behind and very interestingly whispering. I blew it off. But I think I mentioned this before. Before that happened, going into work in the mornings, I would hear all these crows make this. They were talking to each other. They were just making such loud noises as I'm walking down the steps to go towards my job. And I know that I meant something. I did not take the time to try to figure out what that meant, but I knew it meant something. And every day it was just the same thing. Loud talking. I couldn't see them, but I could hear them. Because I went to work, it was like 5 or 6 in the morning. It was dark, but I could not see them. I would see rabbits that would just stop and look at me. And the only time they moved is because someone else came behind me walking. I found lots of feathers. I remember the last day that I was at work as I was leaving. I caught a Lyft, an Uber home. And there was a street that I went down. And there was a daycare there. And on the ground of the daycare is a playground. There was an actual murder of crows. And there was a stoplight. So there's a stoplight, and just above it to the right, that was the murder of crows. And I sat there looking at them while the light was red. And when it turned green and I passed, as I'm going past, it seemed like the car was going very slow. And I can just see all those crows, just some was up on the wire, and a lot of them were just on the ground looking. It was like they were looking at me. And I felt like they were telling me that was my last day. And I didn't go back. I didn't go back. Hmm. Wow. I don't know what position I was shanked out of. In the past, I had expected the person that was over me. And even though there was lots of signs about my coworker, I did not even think that it was her. But after hearing that, I can see that being her. Now, a person that said all this said that the person is going to come into some sort of consciousness about what it is that they did. That's if they are not a covert narcissist. And looking back, I can see the person being a covert narcissist. She also said that that person is celebrating what they did. So if you're celebrating something like that, you're a covert narcissist. Now, I am not a doctor. I do not have a PhD, a doctorate, and I don't play one on television yet. But in my heart of hearts, I can see it all now. Wow. And there's a part of me that wants to be upset and sad. But it's like my higher self is like, shake it off. Because what I got coming is going to be so much more than what I didn't even know I was going to get or had. So I will say that I am very grateful for those nature spirits who are just talking to me, giving me the warning. I'm very grateful. I've always loved crows and ravens. All right, well, that's all I want to talk about. I mean, I might come back and expound on that a little bit more if something comes to me, but it's really nothing to say. What is for me won't miss me. When they say rejection is God's protection, right? So, if they continued to let that person stay there after all the things that they've done that I won't mention on here, and I had gotten to that position, then that means that they probably would have did something else. You know, it's all a setup, huh? Rejection is God's protection. And I know God loves me. I know when I say God, I use that as a general term for universe, ancestors. It's all spirit team. I'm grateful to them all for always looking out for me and protecting me and guiding me and give me those nudges, those mushes. Yeah, they've done that to me before. Even my little grandpup, I get messages just walking him down the street. And I'm grateful for that. Yeah, absolutely awesome. I love my life. It's not where I would have ever thought it would be right now. I don't have any of the things I used to have. I don't have any of the people around me that I used to have around me. Yet I'm good. I am well. I am much better than I was when I had all of that. And I'm very grateful. Yeah. All right. I am Toya, which means a win. I am Toya with a blue lighthouse mantle. And I'll see you next time. Talk to you next time. Bye.